Twitch. Welcome to Wednesdays. Up next, we've got Dustin's Vinyl. And here's the first two of the crew, Anthony and Dustin.
Hey.
You know, those intro songs keep getting shorter and shorter. Anthony's like, you know what, dude, I'm out. I'm done. In the beginning, it was like solos and like behind your back and like playing it with your teeth. Now it's like literally half a second. You're like, just get on with it. I got some socks to buy. I don't know why I said socks. I associate socks with you. You always have like cool socks.
I usually have colorful socks.
Yellow socks.
Yeah.
What's up, dude? Sunglasses or no? I can't tell.
I like them. They match my shirt.
Yeah, they
do. And the background.
Yep, they're just as feminine as your shirt. Does that come in men's? Hey.
Oh, hello. No, actually, I checked.
You checked.
I said no.
All right. Yeah, but you're one of those guys. You buy just it doesn't matter, right? You're very unisex, right? Your
yeah.
Stuff. Yeah.
I'll
you got a big foot though. You got a huge foot.
This one?
Yeah, that's a big foot. What are you, 13? 14?
Like a 12.
Oh, okay. That's still pretty big.
Yeah.
I think that's a borderline mutant. Like it's 14 is like if you're not a pro athlete, something went wrong in your life. But if you're like a 12, then it's you pack in and maybe you're a drummer or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I am.
So tell us, Anthony, where did you play recently? I want to plug your awesomeness.
Oh yeah, I was just in LA at the Terragram Ballroom.
Yeah, big ass place.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I was one of the support acts for Big Black Delta. Pretty cool LA band.
Adam was in town, doesn't like to hang out with us. So he likes to pretend he's going to hang out with you, and then he's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I got CBS executives that want to play Jenga or whatever." So I went, and of course I missed you, which is just hilarious because that's the kind of friend I am. I always come up a little short.
Well, that's how bad the party
I tried.
is.
Not like Adam. I mean, I actually showed up.
Yeah, you showed up at the spot.
Adam was like, I'll be at all your shows, will you? Okay. I'm in a mood today. I'm going after Adam. It's going to be a good one. Yeah, where was I? Sure, I'll tell you.
Where were you? You were doing...
Gotta work on that, man. Come on. Gotta work on this banter.
I thought we were still talking about me.
Okay, we'll still talk about you.
No, I'm just kidding.
So you did the gig. So it was... tell us about Black Delta. Who's this?
Oh, it's this. I know this guy on Twitter mainly. Okay. We met in the Eve 6 replies.
Okay, explain that. They retweeted you and then became a fan or something?
Yeah, we probably started talking about music in the comments of Eve 6 tweets, and then he followed me. I followed him. And
Eve 6 is a pretty big band. Jeff and I have no idea who that is, but Adam does.
Oh yeah, you don't remember? You don't remember them? Inside Out?
I've heard of them. Don't they have an album where there's a fly on the front?
Yeah, it's got a fly.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in the ballpark.
Anyways, So you
got the gig through. Keep going.
Yeah,
I interrupted.
Twitter. Yeah, I tweeted that I was coming to LA, like 2 months ago, and then he reached out. He was like, "I'm going to ask around for you," and then he was like, "Hey, if you want to, be one of our openers for this gig, you can do the gig," and so I did.
That's awesome. And just so you guys know, this was a big, cool ballroom. Like, it was like a real music place. When Anthony told me he was playing a place, I just imagined behind, Chuck E. Cheese or something. Like, it was like, some dude's house. It was just going to be some dude's studio apartment.
It's like,
like a real
rock club.
Like a real music gig. And
like
then I walked in. I was late, so I missed his wonderful act. But everybody was buzzing up. They were like, the guy with the guitar and the long hair, he's really funny. And so... And I think that's interesting, though, because we talked about it for a second, but I think it's funny because there's a stigma with comedy and music. And it's definitely something that some people enjoy, some people judge, whatever. But it's like when you go to a comedy club and there's a guy with a guitar, sometimes, people embrace it and sometimes they don't, And what I think we talked about with music, when somebody kind of like goes in and you're doing music, but you make it funny in a serious music environment, sometimes that goes well, I think. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, it's refreshing because everybody's, doing this cutting yourself music. And then somebody gets up there. It's like, hey, I got punchlines and stuff. So I don't know. I think that's a good element for you. Like you should find less comedy clubs and more serious music.
Yeah. I'm thinking the same. And also the thing is, if you're opening for a band, you still get to do like 25, 30 minutes.
Nah,
if you're opening, like as opposed to showcases on stand-up shows where you're doing.
Yeah, I think it's really great. So back to me.
Yes, where were you?
So I was in Vegas. I was at the World Series of Comedy, which is it's something I don't usually like because it's they add the element of competition with the art of stand-up comedy. And I've had a lot of bad experiences with these kind of things. I had a meltdown on Last Comic Standing. I've, motherfucked judges at contests before. I've just been a maniac. And so I always hate it. And the comics are always weird. And so I had done this before. I had done it like World Series of Comedy. And it was somewhere, I think it was in like Missouri or something. It was somewhere out there, and it was pretty cool. But this time, originally it was in Vegas, and then they had to move it. But it was back. Now it's back in Vegas at the Strat and whatever. So Stratosphere Hotel and thing. And so it was. So that's why I wanted to do it. And so I got on this thing, and it was just like I didn't prepare for it. I was very loose and whatever. And I think a lot of the comics were kind of like trying to do the thing. I was just getting up and just fucking around, and then I would just just win. I kept winning all these rounds. And I was just like, I guess don't give a shit is the key. And then here's the deal. I had one show and I'm last. I'm closing it out. And it's like 7 comics. I'm closing it out. And I have to follow not one, but 2 music acts. And these guys are phenomenal. The crowd was going crazy. And it was like, they were both great guys. Well, one guy was really great. The other guy I didn't like so much. But it was one guy was a guitar guy. And he was like a Muslim cowboy guy. He had dreads. He was fantastic. We got along really well. And, we both dressed the same. And we had a lot of fun. He did really well. And then a guy with a violin went up. And he was really good. And the crowd went crazy for both these guys. And so it's one of those situations. I'm closing it out. I'm like, how am I going to there's no way I'm going to advance. So I just decided I'll just shit on him and see how that goes. So I got up and I was just like, wow, I guess I should have learned how to play an instrument. Can somebody bring me a couple of spoons? Hey, buddy, you want to start a jug band? Can you do the ham bone? And then everybody went nuts and I won that freaking round.
Nice.
So I came in second. I didn't win first, which, everybody says I should have, but, whatever. I'm not 22. That's why I didn't win. But, but I did come in second out of 500 people. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, 500.
And you know what? You're number 1 in my heart.
I appreciate it. And number 2 was good. I got a manager out of it, and maybe a special. I'm discussing some stuff, so it's like really cool, man. Yeah, it definitely recommend it. World Series of Comedy. Joe Lauer's over there does a great job. A lot of people don't want to do these kinds of things, but it's definitely worth it. I had a great time. So maybe
that's awesome.
I think you should sign up for next year, Anthony. I recommend. Yeah, because a lot of people see you. I got a lot of bookings out of it. It was like really cool.
That's great. That's
and you're in Vegas, so it's like, you know what I mean. Like, who doesn't want to perform in Vegas? But,
the
crowds were horrible, but 4:00 and 6:00 shows.
Oh yeah, but but it's in a casino or something, so nobody knows what time it is.
Exactly. Well, these people do because they have to eat in 30 minutes. But but it was interesting. It was like the crowds are. I feel like I emceed every show because I had to break them open.
Yeah.
But I had a good time. It was cool. But the element of comedy and music, I think it's definitely not easy to do, and it's also not easy to follow. I think that's the thing. So I didn't have a lot of time. I was looking for one particular record most of the time because I'm late, because I'm looking through my collection and I'm trying to find a record and I don't alphabetize properly, so I can never find anything. So I just gave up. I was trying to get stuff from high school, but I did grab something I kind of listened to in high school. I discovered Tom Waits in high school, and Tom Waits is. There's nobody with a voice like this. This is like this gargoyle from hell, jazz, fucking hobo, train riding, fucking. It's just, you can't really describe it. It's just the coolest deepest, kind of hippest thing you'll ever hear. And when you first hear Tom Waits, it's really it's an experience, because it's so soul wrenching, and it's just such good stuff. This is the live album, the Nassau Theater in Chicago, 76.
Oh,
and,
okay.
so yeah, he's been around a while. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah,
and,
so
it's
76, was that before he was like really doing the Cookie Monster voice?
Yeah.
He was like almost
really all that, and you're gonna sum it up as a Cookie Monster voice? Come on. This is like one of the best artists in the world, and a great fucking actor, and you're gonna call him the Cookie Monster. I
like his stuff, but you know how his voice sounds.
It's not the Cookie Monster. It's like this soulful, raw, Otis Redding, fucking crazy, fucking gargoyle. It's good shit. Sandpapered soul is what it is. You're gonna call him the Cookie Monster? I ate the cookies. I ate the cookie. It didn't sound like that. I'm gonna fight you. All right. Anyway, it's a good album. Check it out. Get you some Tom Waits. He's also played Renfield in Dracula. He's also in one of my favorite Jim Jarmusch movies, Coffee and Cigarettes.
Great one.
He's just, very talented Renaissance man. And but his music is cool, man. You got to kind of be in the mood for it. It'll definitely take you down. But it's sexy and weird. It's not like the Cookie Monster. I can't even with you. But let's get some Tom Waits. All right, everybody. We're going to start the show before I beat up Anthony through the Zoom screen. Bring us some music in, buddy, and bring in my other co-host. Oh, nice. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, my other co-hosts and partners in music. Look at those rings. We got Adam Holtz and Jeffrey Paul. Yeah. My judge shirt. Does that impress you, Jeff?
Oh.
Got a judge shirt. Nobody rocks a judge shirt.
Somewhat.
Man, why you got to be like that? Were you going to say Tom Waits is the Cookie Monster too?
I like
Jesus Christ.
I like
he
Tom
shits
Waits.
on Mellencamp. He shits on the Eagle. He's shitting on Tom
Don't
Waits.
shit on the judge. This is America's mom and daughter. I can't.
Are you telling me that you don't think sometimes Tom Waits sings a little bit like the Cookie Monster?
No, he doesn't.
You know what? I may have to side with Anthony on this one.
Man. All right, I'm close. I'm out of here. Can't with you guys. Adam, save me. Tom Waits, good shit.
Yeah. I just started listeking to him.
Because you're sophisticated. Because you're sophisticated.
Recently, yeah.
I like Tom Waits.
Not like these two Hoosiers. Cookie Monster. Get out of here, man. It's from like 14 packs a day and just tears. That's what that voice is. Just hardship and heartbreak. It's good
Whiskey.
shit. Whiskey. A lot of whiskey. Yeah, a lot of whiskey.
A lot of whiskey.
Whatever. All right. You started listening to him, Adam? You like him?
Yeah.
It's good
Yeah, I
stuff.
was listening to, what was the album? It was Rain Dogs.
Nice. Yeah. It's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Don't let these two dingbutts
I like
steer
Bone
you
Machine.
somewhere.
That's a good one.
Shut up. You don't know what that is. You
You
just Googled that. You just Googled that right when I was
that
talking.
one, it's the one that has that song, I Don't Want to Grow Up, which is my favorite Tom Waits.
Because I'm the Cookie Monster.
Yeah. I don't want to grow up.
Oh, my God. Really?
You know?
Is that what's happening right now? Poor
That's
Tom.
how it goes.
He's heart and
Isn't it?
soul. Tom.
He is heart and soul. He's good stuff. And nobody sounds like it. It's like this weird thing. It's like I can't even like it's kind of jazz, it's kind of blues, it's kind of just it's alternative weird. I don't know what it is. It's good. I saw what did I see? I think I saw a ballet because I was dating a ballet dancer. I had to throw that out there. Juilliard.
Sure
Yeah.
you did.
I did. Oh, really? Sure you did? I know you're fucking with me if you don't think I have game. I didn't date a Mormon girl that went to Juilliard that was a ballet dancer. I might have, and I need to lower my voice. My girl's in the other room. Anyway, they did a ballet, and it actually wasn't ballet. It was you know this, Jeff. You're kind of on the femme side because you're a phenomenal dancer. Martha Graham. Dance, kind of modern dance with a fusion of ballet. See, I can outculture all.
Is that like an Alvin Ailey kind of thing?
Please stop. You're going to ruin our friendship. And it was all Tom Waits music, and it was fantastic. And
where was it?
Then they threw out cookies at the end of the show. It was in New York. It was at some theater, some little cool theater.
Yeah, that sounds like something that'd be like a small little theater, like
it was some like St. Mark's Theater or something. It was
sounds
cool.
Pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it was cool. And I do date chicks back in the day. Chicks like me, Jeff. I used to be cool. I used to be really handsome back in the day. Then it just all went to shit. I'm covering it all up with hats and sunglasses. All right. Lots of Just for Men. Okay. All right. So, we're talking, this whole month has been fun. It's been, back to school music. What kind of moved us as we were kids in school, all that stuff. Last week you missed it, Anthony. Oh, just so you know, Anthony, not a big Foo Fighters fan. And you covered the Foo Fighters album. And I'm not just retaliating because of your cult comments, but I feel it's pop Nirvana. I feel it's Nirvana without soul. Like it feels, it felt like it was something that I don't know, that I wouldn't listen to unless there was the backstory of Dave Grohl and everything. You know what I mean? Like I feel like if it didn't have all that, I don't know if it's something I would want to be, listening to.
Yeah.
So, but there are a couple of good hits on that particular album. I think that's the best album. Like, I don't know. I feel like they haven't been able to follow that one because I remember when that came out, I bought the CD and it was great, but it was just, I don't know. I just kind of fell out of love with them.
That might have been their last great album. I like the first three. That's the third.
Do you think that seeing them live changes things for you?
I mean, they're a great live band. But I haven't seen them actually live in a while.
Okay.
I liked seeing them. I saw them. I think I talked about it on the episode, but I saw them.
I wasn't
do a Halloween
so
show.
Talk to me.
I saw them do a Halloween show, like maybe 2002, 2003, something like that, and they came out just like the Hives, and they did the Hives song, Hate to Say I Told You So. And then for the encore, they brought out Fred Schneider from the B-52s, and they did Planet Claire.
Okay. All right.
And they always do cool stuff like that. They brought out Roger Taylor one time.
Okay, so in order for them to be good live, they have to bring out other talented people. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
They brought out the
kind of sums it up. I get it. There's a lot of bands like that. I get it. Putting my hat off here. So today, very excited. Yeah, we have one of my favorite people in the world. He thinks I don't like him, but I would take a bullet in the leg for this guy. And he's very, which is fitting because he was a cop. But he knows a lot about music, and we're excited for his album that he is going to showcase for us today. Jeffrey Paul, what do you got for us?
Yeah.
All right. So
Jeffrey Paul.
In high school, I was obsessed with Black Sabbath. Okay, they were my favorite band growing up. The riff that you played, Iron Man. I think that was the song that got me into Sabbath. Loved Sabbath. I remember I had a denim jacket with a Sabbath cross in the back. It said Black Sabbath. So I loved Sabbath. That everyone knew music. I loved Black Sabbath. And then in 1980, they changed lead singers. And to me, that was traumatic, like Ozzy's not going to be in Sabbath anymore, because in the late 70s, Ozzy is a mess. He's really into drugs. He's an alcoholic. He's producing little to no material for an album that they're commissioned to put out. The pressure's on from the record company, and Tony Iommi fires Ozzy. It's unthinkable that this could ever happen. Iommi was getting tired of Ozzy for years. This was building up. In 77, he kind of tinkered with trying to replace Ozzy with a guy by the name of Dave Walker. And in England, they went on a TV show called Look Here. And they did a couple of Sabbath songs, and backlash, fans weren't feeling it. But by the end of the 70s, by 79, early 1980, Iommi has had it. He starts to meet secretly with Ronnie James Dio, and they start writing, and they hit it off. And he's like, hey, look, I got a singer. We got a new direction that we're going to go in. He fires Ozzy. And this kind of hurt the bass player, Geezer Butler. And we had spoken about him early on when we did the first Sabbath album. We talked about what a great bass player he was and how his contributions to the music and the lyrics. So he leaves the band for a little while, is replaced by Greg Gruber, who was in a band with Dio. Dio used to be in a couple of bands. He was notably Elf, and then he was also in Rainbow. So he leaves, comes back, and they start writing. Somehow they get Martin Birch, who everyone knows from Deep Purple and Rainbow. He produces the album, and they create a fucking masterpiece that changes the style of Sabbath. They become less like hard riff driven, a little bit more melodic in their writing. Dio is as different a singer as you can get than Ozzy. I mean, completely different. And this album gives fans, I think, a chance to like really grow. So when this album comes out, I'm in high school, and I'm like talking to girls at parties, and like my whole rap is like, I don't know what this album's going to sound like. I mean, they fired Ozzy, and girls like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I was just, all I did was talk about like Sabbath and Ozzy.
Yeah, chicks. And chicks that never works.
Chicks like that, and they like Rush. Okay, if you really want to go like to a concert where there's like 95% guys, go see Iron Maiden, Rush, and Black Sabbath. All right. So the album comes out. I get the album, and in my opinion, phenomenal. Opening track, Neon Nights. Think Judas Priest. It's kind of like a Judas Priest style song. Dio's vocals, Naomi's guitar playing. It's heavy. It's heavier. It's as heavy as anything that ever went down during the Ozzy era. It's also one of the last songs written for the band. Now, one of the kind of like the rumors and like the hidden secrets of this album is when Geezer left, how many songs did Greg Gruber actually perform on, and how many songs did Geezer perform on? Because Gruber got no writing credits, and all four members of Sabbath got writing credits on every single song on this album. But this song, you could see the new direction in which Sabbath is going in. If you know anything about Dio, he looks like a little wizard. Everything's the occult and mystified. He's the guy who came up with the devil horns, which is supposed to ward off the evil spirit, is what he was doing. And everything, a lot of lyrics about dragons and kings, and it's more along the lines of like Richie Blackmore and Rainbow, because Richie Blackmore was really into that whole Renaissance period, where dragons and kings would have like appeared. So you could see maybe where the lyrics of this song went, but as far as heavy, this song is as heavy as it gets. Then it's followed by, I'm only going to go through 5 songs on this album. It's a short album too. It's only 8 songs that come in under 40 minutes. Children of the Sea, which is a phenomenal song. This is one of the songs that was written in like the secret meetings between Dio and Tony Iommi. And it starts with a nice little acoustic intro, a little falsetto, and then it builds into classic Sabbath with the Geezer Butler bass line. And this is what makes you think, well, maybe he did record it. Also, there were rumors that they recorded the album and then brought Geezer back to overdo the bass lines on this. So there's kind of like a lot of fugazi stuff that may have gone on during this, the recordings of this album. Then there's the title track, and the title track, in my opinion, has one of the most famous opening metal riffs of all time. That galloping, bum, 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 that dun, 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 and then it goes into the gallop, and there is.
I don't know how to play it. I don't know how to play it.
Yeah, so it's and then
should have learned some of these.
It's this song here where it is really douchey on my part because it's like
you doing something douchey. I don't.
Yeah, no. You're gonna like Dustin. You're gonna like this because I took one of the lines.
Wait till I start talking. Go ahead.
I took one of the lines from this song and made it like like a high school quote in your yearbook. I took the line.
What was it?
Okay, I thought it was really profound, man. Like I thought I was really deep, like I was poet Jeff, and like the line I took, like you don't know me, man. You don't know how deep I am. And here was the line, the world is full of kings and queens that blind your eyes and steal your dreams. That was the line. Ew.
Wow. You put that in people's yearbooks and they didn't check if you had a bomb?
It's a different time. It was
that's what I believe.
If you wrote that down, you would be on a list. We got to check this kid out. This kid's psycho. You know what I put in the yearbook? I put, remember Grant, remember Lee, to hell with them, remember me. That's what I did.
That's a classic. That's a classic. I wanted to show I was deep, man. I was deep. The world is full of kings and queens, Dustin. You're going to blind your eyes and steal your dreams.
Yeah,
man.
I thought I would have hung out with you, but after this, I don't know.
I don't blame you. I was the guy with long hair, obsessed with Sabbath, and thinking that I was deep by quoting Sabbath lyrics. And then like two other songs on my favorites. I love these songs. I still love them to this day. Wishing Well and Die Young. I just think they're just phenomenal songs. Wishing Well, catchy as all hell. Great solo by Naomi. And Die Young is one of these songs that, where in typical Sabbath style, starts slow, it's a song that starts with a guitar solo, a very heady, like spacey guitar solo. And then just breaks into this fast-paced, like ripper of a song. And Dio singing, man, he could sing the phone book for all I care, and it would still sound amazing.
Especially
in my lexicon,
especially the A's.
I'm telling you, if I'm making a Mount Rushmore of singers, he is on my Mount Rushmore of singers. Phenomenal. So this is like. This identifies me in high school. This was everything. I loved it, and I saw them every time they came around, especially with Dio.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Well, first of all, I'm glad that you found Black Sabbath, or you probably would have blown up the school. So I think it definitely gave you something that you needed. And I think, I love Ronnie James Dio. And I even like the doo-wop stuff, that you find on YouTube and stuff. Like he's got this voice that is like no other.
Back in the day,
Rainbow in the Dark, I think is one of the top 10 hard rock songs of all time.
Great song.
But I don't like him with Sabbath. I feel like this is the day Sabbath. When this joint happened, I feel like it's the day punk kind of left metal. And everybody started doing this kind of high-end singing and kind of more theatrics as opposed to, the early Black Sabbath had the theatrics, but it just had this kind of darkness to it that didn't feel manufactured. It felt like Ronnie James Dio is legit for sure, but something about Ozzy with that band, just, it's just like, kind of like we listen to AC/DC when you listen to the early stuff, and Brian Johnson kills it, but it just still is not what that was, even though I think they became a better band because they gelled more as they went on. But there's just something about Ozzy with Black Sabbath. I've seen Ozzy with Black Sabbath, and there's something magical about it. And I think Ronnie James Dio it's a little too high pitched for me. I just feel like Ozzy's voice for some reason resonates a little more with me, and I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like metal got cheesier after that. I feel like it kind of went down the road of all those bands. Everybody tried to be that, and I feel like it got a little girly, Jeff. And I feel like Ozzy kind of kept it a little more punky. And I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think it's good. I think it's a great album in the sense of what it is. And I think replacing a singer is difficult. And I think Ronnie James Dio is super talented. But I don't know. It just doesn't quite. It's not something that I would really listen to, as opposed I would listen to the early Sabbath stuff way before I'd really get into this album. But
I think he made a good point, a very good point. about how you saw bands going in this direction with the higher pitched singers. Absolutely. And two examples that come to mind are two of my favorite bands. Iron Maiden went from Paul Di'Anno, who was a punk. Okay, and Sabbath was, Maiden's a little bit more punky to Bruce Dickinson, who's also one of my favorite singers. And then you look at a couple of years later with Van Halen going from Roth, who was kind of grittier, to a more sophisticated singer in Sammy Hagar.
Yeah, it's kind of, and I'm not, at all shitting on this album. It's very well produced and it's a very good album for what it is. I just feel it's such a drop from those early raw, just freaking haunting, Sabbath albums.
It's different. It's completely different.
Yeah, it's a little more mainstream in a sense, even though, Dio is a rocker and everything. I still feel it still feels like, I don't know. I feel like Sabbath probably didn't get as much radio play as they would now, as opposed to, so I'm sure the early days were tough getting those albums played, but I don't know. I think it was just, it was good. Anthony, how are you feeling about this Sabbath album with Ronnie James Dio?
I like this album, and I also agree with most of the stuff that you said, Dustin. But I like it. I heard it probably for the first time in my early 20s. I had always been kind of resistant to even attempt to listen to the Dio stuff or any of the other singers that weren't Ozzy. And it was so much better than I thought it would be. The first time I heard it, I remember really liking it. This album and then the next one, Mob Rules. They're kind of the same album, but I like. There's a lot of standout tracks on those two albums. I like that they didn't attempt to do really replace Ozzy with somebody that was an imitation of Ozzy. I think that was a smart move. And like you were saying, it doesn't really. To me, it's not as good as the classic early albums that they did with Ozzy. But I'd never really listened to some of the stuff that came out right before this album. So when I was done listening to this one, I checked out the last album that Ozzy sang on with
Never
them.
Say Die, right?
Never Say Die, and it's awful.
That's
everything
right.
about it. The production is terrible. Right. The songs are
he's fucked up at the time.
It was it was bad. And then even the one before that, I forget what it was called.
Technical Ecstasy.
Yeah, even that one
is
the production is better than Never Say Die, but it's still there's nothing. So I just wanted context because it's like it's nothing like the first two or even like Sabotage or Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. It doesn't sound like that at all. And it's not better than that stuff, but it is better than where they were headed with Ozzy.
Great points.
I mean, but Ozzy got it together. He came. They sounded great when
he comes out that same year with a monster debut album,
crushing it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. With
Blizzard of Oz.
He buried them actually. It's so the joke's on them because he actually got it together enough to. Was it what was that? Diary of a Madman and all that stuff.
No, you had you're right. It was Blizzard of Oz and then Diary of a Madman. Which are both phenomenal albums. But Sabbath, they had the highest record sales with this album, and it turned out to be actually good for both of them.
There's probably a lot of I feel there's sabotage that happens too with music when guys are on their way out. He was probably in the fucking studio going, the fucking song, he's like, contract, what I mean? Drinking whiskey, he's got two whores next to him. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what he's doing.
I was reading about that last album that they all made before this one, and it sounds like that's what it was. They wanted to get paid from the record label, and it's like an obligation. But it seems like once Ozzy left, they had a handful of singers. It seems like every album was like them trying to do a comeback.
Well, they did two. Yeah, they did
8 albums after that.
Yeah, they did 2 albums with Dio. Then they got Gillan from Deep Purple. Then they got who's not Eric Martin. Paul Martin.
Something Martin. There was a Martin.
Right. So he did a couple. So they right, and after that, you kind of start to lose track. You're right.
I thought that because I was skimming through all of that because I wanted even more context for like what was going on with the band during this time.
So Twitch people, let us know, Ozzy or Dio, who do you like better with Black Sabbath? And Adam, talk to us, buddy.
All right. So this is actually the first time I've listened to Heaven and Hell, and before that, I think my earliest exposure to Black Sabbath was that at least I can remember was in high school, probably through Beavis and Butthead and through the Dazed and Confused soundtrack.
Nice.
So it was Iron Man in
two
Paranoid.
great references, by the way.
Yep. And I wish I got more into them. And I know more of the Ozzy, Black Sabbath. And this is really almost the first exposure I've had to the Dio's Black Sabbath. Like you were saying before, Dustin, it's there's a raw sound to Ozzy's voice, and Dio's voice is just it's operatic. It's very processed. But it's still I know if I'd heard this in college, I probably would have become I could have seen myself becoming a pretty big Black Sabbath fan off of Dio's album.
Yeah, well, I do like the solo stuff. I just for some reason I like it better than this. I don't know why, but Rainbow in the Dark, that tour was phenomenal.
That's a great.
And actually, Jeff, this video behind me is Black Sabbath live in Uniondale, Heaven and Hell tour at the Nassau Coliseum.
It's probably at that show. I remember that stage setup, and that was part of the Black and Blue tour. They did a co-headlining tour with Blue Oyster Cult where they would flip, who would close every night, every other night, right?
Yeah,
and we got in the chat. We got your mom's arch enemy says Heaven and Hell ranks number 5 on my Black Sabbath list.
Okay,
All right,
that doesn't give us much.
The first 4 with Ozzy.
Right.
The first one with Ozzy is insanely great.
There's just something about that band that when they're together, I saw them late, and it was at the PNC Arts Center in Jersey and stuff, and Iron Maiden was with them, and they had a very hard time following Iron Maiden for the first probably song, maybe 2 songs, and then but by the time they got to the 3rd song, I forget what it was, but it was then it's like, okay, everybody that's the band that started this is on stage right now. So then it was like then you get it, and then you're into it, even though it's not as hard and as amped up as Maiden is. It's still this thing that comes over you, and that's what doesn't happen with Ronnie James Dio. It doesn't overcome me with this music. Whereas I feel those early Sabbath albums is like you just listen to them in the dark and the thing with candles and shit. It's like really gets into you, man. You're like brewing witch brew and
also remember
sacrificing cats. Like it gets you there, man.
Sabbath starts in the late 60s, so it's completely different sounds. By the time you have Dio, they basically, this kind of sound starts like that whole 80s type of
I don't know if that's such a good thing, because
I love
it took the 90s. It took the 90s to get the 60s sound back. So which I feel was a better sound, 60s and 70s. Don't get me wrong. I love the 80s for what it was, but I feel it, I feel like you could get away with less talent in the 80s, whereas.
No, I disagree.
Really?
Yes, I do.
You think there's more talent in the 80s and the 60s and 70s? Are you kidding me? There's no way you really think that. In the 60s and 70s?
Oh, that's
more talent in the 80s?
I think very underrated.
Hendrix.
I think underrated talent.
There's no way. Who do you got? Devo? Come on, dude.
No, that's 70s.
Devo started in the 70s.
That's 70s.
Okay. But they got popular in the 80s. Okay. Don't semantics with you guys. All right. So yeah, come on, man. 60s and 70s. Come on.
Eddie Van Halen hits his stride in the 80s.
No.
One band's good, but there's so much more that's happening in the 60s and 70s.
Van Halen was not better with
the best era of music.
What's up?
I think the 80s is the best era of music.
Okay, guys, please chime in and save me here.
If
you're a Twitch person, What's the best era of music? And if you say today, you can no longer be on this show. You never listen to
I don't think anyone's going to say today.
60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s. What do you got? Talk to us. And you can say 2000s if you like that guy that what do you the dude that did the I can't talk.
Oh, Justin Bieber?
What? Gangnam Style.
Oh yeah.
Sigh. Actually, I like that guy.
I don't know. I'm so mad at Jeff for thinking the 80s was better than the 60s and the 70s. Are you kidding? Jimi Hendrix alone wins everything. You know, it's like, come on, dude. It's like you can't do Led Zeppelin, man. Led Zeppelin.
I don't want to shit on this. Yep. I love the 60s and 70s music. I don't want to shit on
the
that.
80s is not better, man. Bowie sucked in the 80s. He was amazing in the 70s.
Were you crazy?
He was amazing in the 70s.
Dance, you didn't like that album?
That was a horrible album.
Oh, it's not a horrible album. It's a great album.
Wait, what year did Hotel California come out?
70s. 70s. There you go.
Okay, there's always an exception to the rule.
That maybe saved this. No, I like the 70s.
Does anybody want to chime in?
70s.
Oh, somebody chime in for something I said earlier. They said, just listen, and I think Tom Waits sounds like a rusty Louis Armstrong, not a cookie monster. Thank you.
Cookie monster.
Yeah, if anybody wants to chime in about the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, anyway.
I go 90s.
You know 90s. Jeff knows 80s. Doesn't mean era's better. The 60s started everything. The 70s took it to this level. It's like even country was good in the 70s. It's like, you could tell me country was better in the 80s? It was not.
I mean, the 60s had like this diamond ring doesn't shine for me. Any really?
Yeah, and a little guy named Johnny Cash. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, okay. I can't talk to you anymore. All right. Adam, just say something, Adam. Help us out.
I was going to ask how you would rank
George
the
Strait.
George Jones, my friend. Anyway, continue.
I was going to ask how you were going to rank the decades from the 60s to the 2000s.
Rank the decades?
Yeah.
Like what's better?
Yeah.
I think it just goes in order, except the 80s is at the bottom.
I would go...
I would go 60s, 70s, 90s, 80s.
Oh, you're so off.
I'm not off.
Wait,
it's what off. I personally am connected to. You're obviously 90s. Connected to the 80s because you did a lot of cocaine or something. I don't know.
Okay, you also 80s country. Garth Brooks had all those classic albums in the 80s.
I thought that was the...
I'm a Merle Haggard guy.
No, I'm wrong.
I'm a Johnny Cash guy. I'm, but I'm not, I'm a Waylon Jennings guy. I'm a 90s, Buck Owens 60s, guy.
70s, 80s.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm a early Dolly Parton guy. Like I'm not. Tammy Wynette. I'm not into that kind of country. I mean, I like Garth Brooks. He's talented, but
his 90s though.
He's got one good song. Friends at Low Places.
That's a good
I prefer song. Chris Gaines.
Well, the Thunder Rolls. That's another great one.
He's good, but it's not something I'm going to listen. I like the Judds.
You just like jugs.
I do. I like jugs. No, man. I think it's like, look, the 80s generated some hits. It gave us
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson was never better in the 80s. I would safely say Prince was probably the best in the 80s. And it definitely gave us some gems. But I don't feel it connected to the kind of music people were making, the kind of songwriting that was happening in the 60s with the Bob Dylans and stuff. There was just a lot of things that were happening in the 60s and 70s that kind of stopped happening in the 80s. When the 80s became MTV, it became about what you look like. It became less about the music and more about the image. And I think it ruined a lot of music. It made some music that was good and popular and it was catchy. And we were all listening to the radio. We were all watching MTV. But I don't think it was breaking through like the 60s and 70s was, as far as lyrically with music and some of the Simon and Garfunkel, like all this shit that was happening was just monumental shit, man. And the 80s was just fun. The 80s was a great time. Van Halen was amazing in the 80s, but I don't know, I know you're a huge Van Halen fan. I'm not the biggest Van Halen fan in the world. I think Eddie Van Halen is one of the greatest guitarists, but I don't, I can't really go past Van Halen 2. You know,
Really? Wow. You don't like dive it down and
it's okay.
And
I'm not getting into it. I'm not
children first.
feeling it. I'm not getting into it. You know, I mean, I own one Van Halen album, the first one.
The first one's the best one.
It is. The other ones are good. I mean, Panama's a great fun time, but I don't think it's a great song. I mean,
Is that
just,
on 1984?
No, that's
1984.
1984. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's probably your favorite, right? Because it says
No,
it has the 80s in it.
my favorite Van Halen album is either Women and Children First or Van Halen 1.
All right.
And then I also kind of like For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. I like the Hagar stuff too.
All right, Adam, back to you. So you rank us. What is your area?
right.
How do you rank?
I got to go with, I think, the 70s. Then the next one's tough. I think I'd probably give the edge to the 90s. Pretty close, or the 60s.
So you're a
60s
90s
third.
kid. You're a 90s kid.
And I'd actually put the 2000s ahead of the 80s.
Oh, you another guy? Stop! Stop.
I don't think
the whole
You're
reason,
out of your mind. You're out of your mind.
Everything was bad in the 80s.
I think
Comedy was
the
bad.
best decade for pop, not for
But
rock.
the
though.
80s?
The 80s.
Are you? No, it's not. It was great for rock.
I think
was
it depends
great. You
on
had
if you're
bands like
talking.
Queensryche. Yeah, Rat. You had all these.
I like Queensryche.
bands.
I don't like that guy. He's got a great voice, but I don't think it works. It's like it's trying too hard.
Oh,
But are we just talking about kind of mainstream 80s
I
stuff?
love him.
Because-
Oh God,
He's
They're so
talented,
good.
but I can't do it. What's a good Queensryche song? I don't know.
Take Hold of the Flame.
Should I listen to it? Okay.
Yes.
What's a good album?
Operation Mindcrime.
Okay, I'm gonna listen to it. That's gonna be my homework, and I'm gonna get back to you because I don't know them well enough.
It's a concept album. And
Okay.
it's a cool album. You're gonna like
All
it. I'm very curious to hear what you think of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be into it. Cool.
Very
So here's
cool.
what we're gonna do for the month of October. This is what we're gonna do it on the air now, so everybody gets to jump ahead. We're gonna do your favorite goth album since it's October. No, but I say goth. It could be like gothic, haunting music. You know, something that's
Okay.
you know. I mean, Black Sabbath is in that vein. You know, but it's like just whatever your whatever your dude with eyeliner music is, and I think it'll be fun for October. But I get where everybody's coming. I get like why you like the '80s, Jeff, because you looked really good in the '80s. It was a good time for you. It was like you had a cool car. You were crushing the '80s. So I can see why you would. And Adam was crushing the '90s with his little ponytail or whatever he had. And so
Do you have a ponytail, Adam?
No.
no ponytail. Yeah. Okay.
No ponytail. I'll have to dig up some pictures from the 90s.
You're an '80s guy.
Anthony looks exactly the same.
I wasn't really crushing it until the 2000s, though.
Are you ever really crushing? That's
Exactly. But Dustin, you're an '80s guy too.
I was, and I had a good time. Look, here's the deal. I didn't listen to great music in the '80s. I didn't
Who did you
listen
listen to in the '80s? Who was your bands in the
to
'80s?
horrible bands until I
Like who?
got into like The Cure and all that stuff. Before that, it was like a lot of dance music, Dead or Alive, Young MC, Don't Just Stand There, Bust a Move. You know what I mean? I went down some
the 80s
wrong.
wrong.
Yeah,
Some
I
wrong
like Bust a Move.
avenues.
I'll listen to Bust a Move today. That's
Why?
a great song.
Said, yeah, hello, dressed in yellow.
Yeah, that is a good. That is catchy. Yeah.
Yeah, bust
great
a move. All right, I figured more people would chime in on this hilarious conversation, but I guess
Well,
not.
No,
But I think there was some exciting stuff, like hardcore punk in the 80s was exciting, and then the
Yeah, there's some good
hip hop
punk.
was
Yeah,
not as mainstream,
yeah.
and there was some exciting stuff
Yeah.
happening. Top 40 in the 80s was not my favorite time.
Look, I'm not saying the '80s was bad.
Rock in the
I
80s,
just
top
think
40.
it was. I don't like the synthesizer too much. I felt like everybody synthed out. And
You didn't like Flock of Seagulls.
Nobody likes Flock.
You didn't like. You didn't like Iran.
Nobody likes Flock of Seagulls.
Oh come on, man! It was
Nobody likes
Iran. That was a great.
I guarantee you had those bangs.
No, I had. I was more metal guy. It was more. Also Jersey.
No,
I,
Well, you would have still had bangs then.
You morphed into that a little bit though. Like
Well-
you're into some of that dance music stuff.
I was
Yeah.
because you had
Yeah.
to meet girls. Like you couldn't
Yeah.
only talk about
You can't-
Sabbath.
you can't-
So I
Studio
started
54, did you go?
Yes, I did.
Nice.
That's why he loves the 80s.
I did love the '80s.
That was
I'm not gonna lie.
70s though. That was mostly 70s, wasn't it?
Wasn't it? I thought it was 80s.
It went into the early to mid
early 80s, but it kind of cut off.
But its heyday was the 70s.
The 70s was the heyday, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, disco is, the 70s had some problems, a lot of bad disco and stuff. So I'm not saying the 70s, crushed every era, but I think the 60s was the best. I think that's when all your amazing songwriter artists started coming through. But the 80s gave us a lot. It also gave us Motley Crue, and it gave us Poison and stuff, which I like Motley Crue, but I don't.
Well, the 70s gave you America also.
Yeah, there was a lot happening.
With no name.
Better than any Eagles song.
That is not better than any Eagles song. You're so stupid.
I used to think that was Neil Young for forever.
How can you hate the Eagles this much?
I hate them.
What did Glenn Fry ever do to you?
He did a lot.
Did he write Hotel California?
Did a lot to our ears. Yeah. Now, I don't mind the Eagles, as long as it's the greatest hits. But don't make me listen to a whole album. So this has been a fun one, guys. Thank you for coming in and get back to us. What's your favorite goth album? I know some of you are like 12 out there, so hit us back with your Marilyn Manson, your Cure, whatever. Hit us with that stuff next week. I believe it's going to be my turn, so I'll do the goth album on the beginning. But thank you for listening to us, watching us. Check us out, Dustin's Vinyl on Instagram and Facebook. And maybe Adam will put up a couple episodes on Spotify. Maybe.
Also, Dustin, next month makes us 1 year that we're doing this.
Oh, that's amazing.
Wow.
Right.
Because I remember last year for October, remember we did Rocky Horror soundtrack.
We did. Maybe we should end the show next week, just so it's like we should not do this another year. I love you guys. I love the show. Thank you guys.
Congratulations on the World Series of Comedy.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Gig, man.
I did it for the neighborhood, man. I did it for the neighborhood. Neighborhood of comedy. All right, we guys rock it out. Woo, like a rainbow in the dark. Anthony, play us out with something. Sing a song, whatever you're going to do. It's on you, buddy.
Oh, okay. Well, since we were talking about Dio, I was thinking maybe I'll do a song that I wrote about Satan.
Nice.
Which is on my my newest album. I can't believe it's not better, on all the streaming services. Dear God of rock and roll, are you there? It's me, Anthony. Anyway, I really want to be famous. I was wondering if maybe you could help me out with that. No way, Yahweh, there is no God. Oh. I'm sorry, who's this? This is the Lord of the underworld. Oh. I must have the wrong number. I was trying to dial 7. Well, I'm afraid you've dialed wrong, 'cause you've reached 666. My mistake. But hey, since I have you on the phone, I was wondering if maybe you might consider becoming my manager? Or maybe you just have some advice on how to write a really big hit song. What should I do? All you have to do is sing about me, because the best way to sell art is with controversy. So let's all worship Satan together. It's just for business, not for pleasure. So let's all worship Satan together. It makes everyone's career so much better. Okay, all right. I know what you're thinking. How could I ask the Prince of Darkness to be my manager? But look, all the stories you've heard about Satan, those are just rumors. You don't even know if they're true. And if Satan was really so bad, then why does he have so many nicknames? Where Where'd those come from? He must have had at least a few friends. Oh, Lucifer, you old devil, you. Let's all worship Satan together. All right, here's the thing. Even when they're not all that great, people just love songs about the devil. And even if the song makes a lot of money and it's a really big hit, Satan will get paid most of the royalties. You know, that was the deal. But to hell with it. I'm not even worried about anything anymore. Plus, I already sold my soul to the devil, so I could get into heaven. Let's all worship Satan together. Just for right now, it's not forever. So let's all worship Satan together. When it goes out of fashion, never mind whatever.
Nice job, Anthony. I feel that song would have been very popular in the 80s. And that, man, you got committed to that song. That was a pretty long song. I thought I was watching Fish for a second. All right. All right, everybody. Bye-bye. We'll see you
Bye, guys. Have a good week.